Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Suleiman. Last week, the Northern Elders Forum, NEF, issued a statement demanding the immediate resignation of President Muhammadu Buhari from office. They issued this over the rising challenges of insecurity in the country. In the statement made available to newsmen by the Director of Publicity and Advocacy of the NEF, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmad, the forum said, and I quote, "The Nigerian Constitution has provisions for leaders to voluntarily step down if they are challenged by personal reasons or if they prove incapable of leading. It is now time for President Buhari to seriously consider that option, since his leadership has proved spectacularly incapable of providing security for Nigerians," unquote. In reaction, the presidency condemned the statement and described it as a high decibel show in the media. But even as recently as yesterday, Catholic and Anglican bishops in Kaduna also issued a statement supporting the position of the NEF. So tonight, we ask two simple questions. Should President Buhari resign? And if he does, will that change the security situation in the country, and in particular in the northern region? With me to discuss these issues and these questions is the man who wrote and signed that statement itself on behalf of the Northern Elders Forum, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmad, who is a former permanent secretary in the federal government of Nigeria and now the Director of Publicity and Advocacy of the Northern Elders Forum, NEF. You're much welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. But before we continue, we'll take a moment's break. When we return, we'll go straight into it and bring you the analysis and the insights on what it means to ask a president to resign over insecurity challenges and to what extent that as a statement or as an action can help the situation. Stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we are discussing issues around the call by the Northern Elders Forum for President Muhammadu Buhari to resign, and of course the support for that by some religious leaders and religious organizations in Kaduna yesterday. And with me is Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmad, who is the Director of Publicity and Advocacy of the Northern Elders Forum. Welcome once again, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before let me start where I should start. You know, one of the more punchy sentences in the statement that you read, which I read. The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari does not appear to have answers to the challenge of security to which we are exposed. We cannot continue to live and die under the dictates of killers, kidnappers, rapists, and sundry criminal groups that have deprived us of our right to live in peace and security. This is what one of the major statements that was quoted throughout, by several newspapers. So maybe I should start by asking, what is the motivation for this statement that you issued, for the call as a whole?
Well, the motivation is simply our understanding of the reality in which we live. Our statement says everything there. President Buhari became president 7 years ago.
Yes.
He inherited some security problems. Boko Haram was active in the northern part of the country. Some activities around militancy substantially contained by President Erdogan, showing their signs under Jonathan. But basically, that was the challenge. And President Buhari was elected because he said, I can deal with Boko Haram, I'll finish Boko Haram. And President Buhari told President Jonathan, when he was General Buhari, before he became president, he said, President Jonathan, you have failed to secure the country, resign. Nigerians don't remember
You
this.
mean President Buhari himself said this?
President Buhari, as a candidate of the APC, said to President Jonathan, who then was the sitting president, you have failed to provide security to the country, resign. So there's nothing new about what we said. There was nothing new. And when in real terms, President Buhari was right then. If Jonathan had failed to protect Nigerians, it was the right thing to do for General Buhari then to say to Jonathan, resign. The same way we are saying. But that was then. Now the situation is a lot worse. A lot worse. And what is more worrying is not that we are less secure. We are living with daily fear. We are terrified. The insecurity is affecting the economy. It's affecting poverty. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's that this current situation doesn't appear to have an answer. We monitor the president daily. We read what everybody reads. We see the tears. We see the blood. We see the kidnappings. We see the killings, like everybody else. And the Northern Elders Forum is made up of people who have had, virtually all of us have had some considerable experience in one form or the other in the public service. We know about public management. We know when the government is on top of a situation. We know when it is not. And it is clear that President Buhari as a leader, and this is a country that has given one individual huge powers. Our federal system, Suleiman, was designed to give the center a huge amount of power, including defense and security and maintenance of law and order. That gives whoever is...
But some people are saying maybe that's even the problem, although that's not usually...
It is the problem to the degree that if it is not handled well, we end up where we are. You give one person, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, immense powers. You give the center, the federal government, huge powers to protect citizens, to mobilize resources, to think about problems. When the person who is in charge, and then it created the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and handed over to him every single equipment or wherewithal to protect the country. And he doesn't do that. Either because he cannot do it, or he doesn't care enough to do it, or he's being sabotaged and he doesn't know how to identify saboteurs or not. Whatever the reason, the port of call, the buck stops on the desk of the President. We didn't ask anything extraordinary. We're not saboteurs. I'm not making an apology for what we did. We didn't do anything. We exercised a constitutional right to say what many people knew, to say, Mr. President, you were elected, and the Constitution also says you can actually leave, or you can be removed. Now, it is time for you to leave because you have failed to secure the country. And since then, we knew, even when we wrote and released that statement, we were speaking the minds of 99% of Nigerians. It is not just in the north.
But the presidency, they reacted to say that they don't want to join issues.
Yes, they did.
With the, and yet they did, anyway, that they don't want to join issues with you. In your opinion as an organization, were you thinking of joining issues with the president, or were you speaking what you feel to be fair and just?
Well, we're not trying to provoke the president. We were speaking to the president and to Nigerians. We were speaking the minds of Nigerians by saying the president has failed. And we don't need spectacular evidence to do that. We live it every day. Every single day, lives are lost, people are abducted, people are stolen. The specter is widening and widening and widening. Life means nothing under this administration. Blood means nothing. There's no law and order. People are not being prosecuted for being arrested or prosecuted. You don't hear. When was the last time you had any kidnapper or bandit arrested and processed? You don't hear about it. And yet it gets worse and worse. And we spoke to the president.
Okay.
And thank God we had the courage to say directly what other people might have thought. What is the President Buhari doing? what President Buhari is doing is nothing. When the presidency responded by saying to us or to Nigerians, this is high decibel
show in the media.
That was all they could say. They couldn't defend the president. They couldn't say he's winning the battle against the kidnappers. They couldn't say he's winning the battle against bandits. They couldn't prove that he was winning the war in the northeast. They couldn't say that IPOB is not strangulating the southeast. They couldn't say that a lot of opportunistic crimes are emerging and they are threatening the future of the country, not just the past. We're not just living in danger, but these crimes, these things that are happening have a tendency to accumulate and represent even greater threats to the country. Look at what we're beginning to hear, even from people who should know that there appears to be the emergence of some synergy between Boko Haram and bandits and kidnappers. And that is a worst case scenario, because you know what that means.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not, people say things like there are too many ungoverned territories in this country. And that's why bandits and kidnappers and Boko Haram do what they do. I'd like to remind those people, this is the same country that had these ungoverned territories all this time. Why is this?
When the population was even lower.
Yes. Why is it becoming a problem now? It's not that it is ungoverned. It is governed by other interests, not by the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state is giving room, all under the watch of a former general, a general in the military, a man who fought the civil war, who fought another war, who promised Nigerians, give me your trust, give me power, and I will finish insecurity in this country. And look at where we are now. As we speak now, you are a journalist. If as we speak, what is going on with those people that were abducted on the trains? Who are they? What's going on? Where is the empathy? If you cannot protect us, at least lead us with some compassion. The day these things happened, the president sent the vice president. I'm not belittling the vice president. Why couldn't President Buhari, for goodness sake, show some milk of human kindness and go to Kaduna himself? Kaduna is his hometown, literally. Why couldn't he go to see those victims? These kind of things tell you one thing. One, that he is failing in his job as his first job to protect us. And two, he really doesn't care enough. Now, a few people get upset when we speak in this language. So, these are, like the presidential statement said, these are politicians who can't link up. None of us in the Northern Elders Forum, none of us in the audience in the Northern Elders Forum is a politician seeking for an office. None.
Okay.
We get no pleasure from talking in this way about President Buhari. We wanted him to succeed.
Okay.
We wanted him to succeed. Your editorial, Daily Trust editorial, said it is unbecoming for Northern Elders Forum to say these things about President Buhari, because President Buhari is an elder, is a Northern elder. Yes, he is an elder. And there is a way to speak to elders. And this is the way elders...
Actually, I was coming to that some people say, okay, as Northern elders, maybe you can find other ways of communicating your concerns to the president, can book an appointment, can get to see the president one-on-one in a way that many other Nigerians and many other people across northern Nigeria may not be able to do, and discuss these issues as, elders of the region and of the country as a whole,
And what I would say to you here is that we also, Nigerians should be fair to us. Again, we call ourselves elders. That's the way elders speak. You don't go around in the marketplace and start shouting. There is a way, even in a marketplace, an elder should speak. When you see us speak in this manner, you must understand that we must have exhausted every single avenue through which we can make an impact.
Okay.
We used to have a relationship with President Buhari. President Buhari
as
and
the
his policies...
forum or individual members of the forum?
No, the forum.
Okay.
The forum was very active in putting him in power in the first place in 2015. We campaigned for President Buhari. We supported him. Every one of us, in one way or the other, supported President Buhari because we knew he was better. We saw evidence that he was better than Jonathan. He represented a better option to Jonathan. We campaigned in this country. We campaigned outside this country. We did everything that you can do to put him in power. We wanted him to be president, but we wanted him to be president who would succeed.
Okay.
Not just a president who would be content to be president, but a president who will use the power that Nigerians give him, the trust that they've given him, the confidence they've given him, so that he can do something about insecurity, about poverty, about joblessness, and about all this country falling apart. That was why we supported him. We saw a potential in him. Now, when he fails to do that, and there's no other way in which you can actually say to him, Mr. President, and if we did see him, I will tell you one thing. We would have told him exactly what we said. Mr. President,
maybe
fear
example,
God.
Well, yeah. When last have you made an attempt to see him, or even to write a letter to him, or
I can't remember. I used to be
Okay.
the one that they used to send to the villa when there were issues there. It must have been years. Because the truth about it is, there's something about some leaders. If every time they give you an audience, and all you tell them is, sir, in the politest term, sir, we wish you luck. You know that, you know us very well. We would wish that every time we see you, we'll be saying, Mr. President, well done. You have vindicated the trust of Nigerians. You are doing well. But sir, it's not. It's not. The economy is in shambles. For the last 3-4 years, our villagers have not been farming, sir. People are dying. Do you hear this? Do your military people, do your security people, do they tell you, sir, what are you doing? Eventually the window closes and it closes and it closes, and if this guy sees you only do is to complain to him, maybe he knows, maybe he hears it from you, maybe he doesn't want to be reminded that he's losing a war in a country where he shouldn't lose a war.
Absolutely.
He doesn't welcome you anymore. It's sad, but I don't believe that President Buhari is as briefed as he should be. And if he is as briefed as he should be, then we have a very serious problem. Because, like our statement said, we still have 1 year to go under President Buhari. 1 whole year. He's going to hand over to another president,
On May
inshallah,
29.
by May 29. We are
Next
not even there yet. We are not even there yet. What are you going to do about the expanding scope of banditry and kidnapping and sundry crimes and opportunistic crimes? What are you going to do about IPOB? This is an organization that literally has taken over 5 states of the country. And it has the capacity to say, on Mondays, we don't want to see anybody on the streets. And they get away with it. They kill policemen, they kill the road safety people, they kill customs people with impunity. They chase people from nil registration, they film it, they release it to people, they kill other ethnic groups to create a problem. The governors, 5 governors in the southeast can't do anything about this. And you have lived with this situation as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. It's your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the southeast governors. It's not the
The
responsibility.
president will respond that they have the leader of that organization, Nnamdi Kanu, in
Has it solved the problem?
in detention, and that's
Has it solved the problem?
The judicial and legal processes are continuing.
Suleiman, they are prosecuting Kanu.
Okay.
There are sundry forces, interest, a whole motley of interests operating under IPOB. The bottom line is that this group has succeeded effectively in paralyzing and determining how the Southeast lives or dies. And they are wreaking havoc on the Southeast.
Seriously.
Now, in between now and the elections, there are peculiarities about election years that the nation needs to know. Election tends to throw up a lot of security issues.
Which is where I was going next. That if the president, of course, the president is probably or highly unlikely to resign because the statement didn't promise that he was going to resign. But one of the things that they said is that that's not going to solve the problem. So that would mean that the Northern Elders Forum is calling for a solution that will not actually work. How do you?
Well, it would have been easier if they had said, your solution, Northern Elders Forum, that the president should resign because he has failed, is not going to solve the problem. What would have been more comforting is if they had said what will solve the problem.
Okay, in return.
Yes. They must have dug into hundreds of the past press releases that they have released They've run out of even the adjectives that they use to explain to them. Oh, we're hiring weapons, we're ordering weapons, Nigerians are tired of hearing about weapons fight. Weapons fight as opposed to fight the people who are fighting us and killing us and taking us off trains and going to our villages and towns and murdering us. Of what value is telling Nigerians, no, don't call the president to resign. We're doing something. When are you going to do something? How are you doing it? How are we supposed to judge you? The only measure by which we judge the efficacy of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is the #1 citizen, who is the commander-in-chief, who is our chief protector, who is responsible for the first responsibility of the president, which is to secure citizens. Is he securing us? He's not. So if you say our suggestion that he should step down is not going to solve the problem, in the name of God, why didn't you tell us what is the solution? Because we're tired of hearing all these things. Shehu says, oh, these are people, politicians who have lost out. Lost out to what? We are running away like everybody else. Even as we are making that statement, we are also running. Everybody in this country is a victim of this same thing we are raising. Everybody. Those that you don't hear their voices are too busy praying to God that they will see tomorrow.
Oh,
so tell
no
people what the president has done or is doing. Now they will tell you, oh, we have weapons, we have Tucanos, we're likely to do these things. There are a number of sensitive issues that we really shouldn't mention on TV. But I can tell you a number of things. The West that we look up to sell us weapons, they would not sell us weapons until we satisfy certain basic requirements that they will consider as satisfying their standard of human rights. They take time to do, and they watch you. They watch. So a weapon is useless, a Tucano is useless sitting on the ground unless you actually change the manner in which you are dealing with prisoners of war, with terrorists, with other people. Those are very difficult things to do. When I was in the Senate, I can tell you this. The Senate supported the sale of Tucano planes, supported, even though there were some issues relating to the manner in which the money was appropriated and sent to the U.S. We supported it. And this was under Saraki, who didn't get along very well with the president.
Yes.
But we supported it because we believed it was in the national interest. How much all these weapons that they're saying we're going to get, they are contingent, the release and the use of those weapons are contingent on the military and the government and other forces complying with certain standards set by somebody else. In the meantime, villagers are killed in their tens or dozens or hundreds. Villagers are
So
abducted.
what would be the immediate solution? For example, because that's one of the issues some people have raised, that the NEF can advise the president with solutions that they can follow to rather than call for their resignation. I'm just adding what others have said. So what is the solution in this case? If it takes a long process to get weapons, and so on, what are the immediate tactics and strategies that the government can use to at least give citizens some relief?
We gave the solution. This president, this particular president, has had those solutions virtually. You need larger numbers of the military. We don't know how many new hands is recruiting in the military. You need to equip them better, not necessarily just the Air Force, but you need to improve intelligence. You need to address corruption in the military and around it. You need to boost the morale of the military. Something is wrong with our fighting forces. Whether it is internal or external or a combination of the two, something is wrong. If bandits can go into a village and spend a day or two just terrorizing people, raping women, choosing when to go in and when to go out, something is wrong. And you've had all these years to look at this problem and then remain at least a long step, if not one step ahead of the criminal. But the criminal is ahead of you. So what do you want to advise a general, a military general? Your main fighting force is your intelligence and your fighting men. Don't you know what to do? And if all these years you haven't done these things, what else is there? People think our recommendation is extreme. It was born out of a realization that this particular president is severely allergic to changing anything. He doesn't like changing. And I'm serious. He really
and that actually leads us to an issue that maybe, I don't know if you have observed, because in the statement released by the presidency, one of the things they said is that they are going to have ground assets to support air defense crisis. You know, that reads like they're going to finally have substantial number of boots, military boots on the ground, which for anyone following that this crisis, particularly in the Northwest, you know, that has not been a priority for the government until in response to your statement. So does it mean that the government is changing strategy, or they are just responding in a statement?
First, if you're analyzing that statement, first you will assume that whoever wrote that statement is actually familiar with the most up-to-date thinking in security. I have my doubts about that, but that's a personal view. When you say we are likely to have more boots on the ground, you also have to take cognizance of the fact that you also have more crime, more organized crime on the ground. Absolutely. And Saru, let me give you just a small, I drove straight to your studio from Kaduna.
Okay.
There are about 4 or 5 local governments. Bindungwari, of course, epicenter, Giwa local government, Chikun local government, Zaria, if you want, Kaduna South. Let's even stop there. You could be sitting in your room and people can walk in there and take you. Some of the rural local governments, 3/4 of them, or at least half of them, are empty. These feet on the ground. Now, look at Niger State. Look at the state of Niger State now. Look at Zamfara. Look at Sokoto. Look at the Middle Belt. This area that we think is the Middle Belt is Ansaru thinks that they're moving there, consolidating, and behaving as if it is its territory. They're waging a war against a government. The worst possible thing you want, if it is bandits, we have always prayed that the bandit should lack one thing: political consciousness. He's organized, he's got money, he's got weapons, he's got a motive, he has a grievance. Don't let them have consciousness about what they're fighting for. And we're getting close to that. If we begin to have a very intimate alliance between Boko Haram or ISWAP and the bandit, we are in serious trouble. So, yes, you can tell Nigerians are likely to have more feet on the ground. When? When are they going to? When are you going to have them? How are we going to see the result? When are we going to see the result? Don't we have a right to ask the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sir, you've been president for 7 years. In these 7 years, more people have died than any other president. More people are dying under your watch. Do you know, sir? Do you know about this? If you do know, sir, what are you doing about it? Is it enough to just keep military, go after, be ruthless with them, go after them, don't spare them? And they don't spare us. They don't spare us. Sometimes when they're killing people, or they're raping women, or they're beating people up, or they're abducting, they say, tell your governor, so, tell your government, so. The people who abducted people, the people on the train, had the cheek to say, tell the president to come to us. What do ordinary people, what are we supposed to think? So when you put all these things together, we didn't release that statement until we actually weighed it and contemplated what it meant. And incidentally, it's not the first time we did it.
I was actually going to come to that because maybe in an election year, a president resigns. Maybe that can lead to constitutional issues, but also other things that might entail. But maybe we can take a short break. When we return, we continue with that. Thank you for staying with us. So far, we've been discussing the call by the Northern Elders Forum for President Muhammadu Buhari to resign, arising from the incessant killings and insecurity in the country. Stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing with Dr. Akim Baba Ahmad on the call by the Northern Elders Forum for President Muhammadu Buhari to resign. So again, sir, to resign or not to resign. One of the issues that has interested so many people is, okay, this is a country where regional politics is the bedrock is the foundation of all politics in Nigeria. And if the president resigns, where does that leave northern Nigeria politically? Or that it's likely even to cause, what do you call, a constitutional crisis?
There's no constitutional crisis. The Constitution was drafted by people who foresaw the possibility that a president would leave one day.
Yes.
Either, God forbid, he dies in office, or he's impeached because he has committed impeachable offenses, or he resigns. These are the three ways in which a president can leave office. And it provided that in the event that the president is not in his place, the vice president can take over. This President Muhammadu Buhari, alive but not unwell, had actually handed over this country to President Osinbajo. I think once or twice during those times.
Several times.
Several times. The Constitution says the vice president takes over. Now, people who say, no, we don't want to Osinbajo. Oh, and we remind them, this is a constitutional government. And in a constitutional democracy, you don't get to pick and choose what you want, what is convenient to you and what you do is not convenient to you. The Constitution produced President Obasanjo, President Buhari, and Vice President Osinbajo. If President Buhari is unable or unwilling of running the office of the president, this vice president becomes president. Now people say, oh, but even the Osinbajo is declaring. Let him declare whatever he wants to declare. The Constitution says he becomes president. Whether he chooses to continue and finish the term of President Buhari, or he chooses to say, no, I'm going to run on my own, and therefore I don't want to be president again. It's very simple. The moment President Buhari hands over to him, he has to appoint a vice president. He has to. That's the constitutional requirement. So his deputy, his vice president now becomes president. Now he, in turn, has to appoint someone. Our Constitution does not envisage a vacuum, does not envisage an extra constitutional change of power. And there is no reason why we should expect that there should be a crisis. What crisis? The crisis is where the president, who has so much power in his hand, is unable or unwilling to do the job of a president, and the country is saying, don't do anything. Let's just pray and wait for next year. That's the crisis. And look, we are a developing democracy. And in Africa, it's a bit strange to hear people say, resign. But it's not entirely a foreign thing. So we take what is good in the democracy. We get elected leaders. Once in a while, we quarrel, we fight, we go to court. But we don't want them to stand down. If you were elected, the same ticket they give you, the reverse side also tells you how and when you should go. Well, what is wrong with activating the other side? This is a country of 230 million people. Should our fate, sorry, Suleiman, should our fate be tied to the dictates and the pleasures of one individual? 230 million people? Do you know, do Nigerians think about the kind of legacy that the president will, security legacy, this president will leave to the next president?
Directly leads to the issue of maybe other agencies or other organs and branches of government, for example, state governments, but also the National Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Reps, that they too can do quite a lot to address security issues, and then even the party, the ruling party itself, because the party can have policy and implement policy, not necessarily behind the president or without the president's knowledge, but they can influence how some things are done. So maybe these power centers have also not done their duty.
I'm afraid those are not power centers.
Okay.
Every one of those institutions or agencies you've mentioned, they are actually in the pocket of the president. The same president we're saying is incapable of doing anything to change dramatically the way we live. The party is his. If you don't believe me, look at what he did. When he really wanted to fix the APC enough to have a convention, it took him just 2 weeks. Came back from the country 2 or 3 days before he did it, started issuing orders, and everybody started falling in line. So when this president does want to do something, he does it. That's how he fixed the APC, and it had a convention. That APC is just a party. It cannot do anything.
Is it disrespect for voters? Or precisely what? Because this example that you gave is quite significant, because even when the president was in London and in hospital, he was receiving party members from Nigeria here
and giving out instructions,
and those instructions were being followed, and the party was brought to shape. The APC appears stronger now than even the opposition party, certainly than it was a few months ago. So is it that, what's wrong? Why can't we see a similar process with the challenges that Nigerians face? In the months that we had, January, February, and some of March, when the fuel scarcity was biting very hard, there was no such presidential action to bring the issue to an end. And then this insecurity situation, what exactly is happening? Is it that the president doesn't care about voters?
I think there are two things. One, I think the president is overwhelmed.
Okay.
I honestly think so. I don't want to impute a motive that I'm not sure I can defend. I think he's overwhelmed. He's swamped by problems. Maybe the people, his immediate cycle, have chosen to limit what they tell him, how bad the situation is. The other side of it, which is even more disturbing, is that it's quite possible that he's sitting out his time. He thinks the problem is there, whatever is happening is the best he can do, and nothing will happen. The poor will suffer because they're poor, and those who will die, it's their time to die. There's not much he can do beyond what he can do, and yet he can. He can do a lot more. When he wants to act, we've seen him act. So I think that, I once said this, and people thought, I once said that I think that President Buhari just wanted to be president. He didn't want the responsibilities and the burdens of power. He just wanted to be president. And unfortunately, power is an instrument. It's like you park a fantastic big car in front of your house. And you go in and sit down. Unless you start the engine and drive it, it's not a car. It's just a nice thing to look at. Power is an instrument. Absolutely. It's an instrument of governance. You're supposed to govern a country. You cannot be indifferent to certain things. Just look at the number of things. Even the Southeast thing that I keep going back to, because it will be a problem. It will be a problem for whoever takes over from President Buhari. Banditry will be a problem for whoever, in the worst form. All these things could have been fixed. But when you have a tunnel vision, when you have a single track on things, look, what I do is the best. If it's not good enough, then too bad. I don't know what else is there to do. All these problems were not here 4, 5, 6 years ago. Most of them. 80% of Nigeria's security challenges were not in place 5, 6 years ago. They were not. And they didn't need to have only one approach. Some could have been handled by in military fashion. What is this thing that they say, the warfare? The military said this is there's a warfare they are used to, there's a warfare they're not
kinetic
used to. Kinetic or not kinetic. These are just terms.
Absolutely.
The truth about it is that in 3, 4, 5 years, you should have a handle on exactly what the nature of the problem is. There's a huge amount of goodwill out there in the world if we don't have it within the military. And our military used to be one of the best. I don't know what's wrong with it now.
So, but this leads us to two of the issues that are also tied to this. One, whether or not the goodwill that you're talking about, does it include mercenaries, foreign mercenaries as well? And if so, how can that help the situation?
I would argue against mercenaries. Even when I watched the governor of my state, Malam Nasir Rufai, rant and rave about bringing in mercenaries, I knew he was just kidding. First, he doesn't have the powers to do this. He can get Kato de Gora, these young people that he gives sticks to bash people's heads, but he can't bring them mercenaries. Mercenaries are terrible options. Usually the very last options, and they tend to bite you even if they can help you to win a war. I'm not sure that mercenaries have won wars successfully. Conflicts are resolved by first understanding the nature of the conflict. The banditry issue didn't just spring up. It's a conflict. It had roots. It had dimensions. There were times when it wasn't there. There were times when it was showing signs that it was going to become a problem. You keep track of your problems and you keep abreast of it. If it is the kind of problem that requires mediation, other forms of solution, you deal with them. You don't just ignore them until they become a problem. This is what this administration did. Kidnapping is a problem. There is a way in which you deal with it. Sending soldiers and military into terrain that they are not familiar with, they say, oh, it's the forest. 70% of Nigeria is forest. And so it's a difficult terrain. The bottom line is that it was also hostile terrain to the Fulani. People don't understand. The Fulani don't live in bushes.
So this is one of the issues that the president's powers, which you mentioned correctly earlier, but they are reposed in one person, who in turn delegates them to many others: the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval. All of these people, they in their own also have considerable power reposed in their offices as well. And following these Kaduna train attacks, a lot of people were asking questions: what are these ones doing, even on their own, in their own respective persons and positions?
I think it's a waste of time asking any subordinate of the president. Again, let me remind you, there's a reason why the Constitution made the president commander-in-chief of the armed forces. In one fell swoop, the president fired all the former service chiefs. That shows you how much power he has over them.
Yes.
In one fell swoop, and brought these ones. That shows you every one of them is accountable to the president. The question is the president accountable to us? Should we ask him questions, for instance, about, sir, can the families of those people who know, maybe now when it rains, now that it's rainy season, maybe they sleep in the rain, maybe they eat, maybe they fast, maybe we don't know. But they're human beings, including old people, including children, including a pregnant woman that we saw on the video. Is anybody in the presidency going to be able to meet the family of those people and say to them, we understand how you feel, or even if we don't understand, we are sorry that this is our responsibility to free them. We are doing a number of things. Some we can disclose to you, some we are not disclosing to you. We can't disclose to you. Is this another incident we are just going to walk over? Another Chibok girls, another kidnap of people for weeks?
But if these people are doing their jobs, if they are on top of this situation,
so if they are not doing their job, the president should fire them.
Okay.
The problem is this. This kidnapping on the train happened when? 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, March 28th.
Has anybody been held to account, for goodness sake? Staff of the railway, the military, intelligence, or anybody? They said they've been feeding the people with responsibility to receive intelligence that this kind of thing was something, a disaster waiting to happen. The Minister of Transport said he did this and said, I've asked them for surveillance equipment. This is what the minister did. This is the minister who wants to be our president. One of the many who want to be our president. He says they didn't support him with money, and therefore our rail line was inadequately protected. If they had put it, it would have improved the security of the place. What is happening? The road is bad, you know, as the road is bad, so the elite has moved to the train. Anybody with some modicum of intelligence would have known. I've been on that train, you've been on that train.
Yes.
Everybody knew that this was a disaster waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
The moment anybody attacks that train, we're in trouble. And what happens? Somebody attacked the train. If the train becomes the only link between Abuja and Kaduna, knowing how important that route is, the kind of people who go there, you would have thought a thinking government would invest a huge amount of money and quickly, even if they have to tell JB, forget Zaria Kanu, forget Kaduna Zaria, come and fix Kaduna Abuja, because we need to restore road transport and then put additional security between Kaduna and Abuja so that the elite who own this country can travel with some peace of mind. They didn't do that. They abandoned the road, doing just patch work,
and then
everybody moved.
The train.
Everybody moved to the train. So they created two problems. One, the road you abandoned is bad and insecure, and then the train is exposing people to danger. And then suddenly it happened. A worst case scenario happened. Now, where is the thinking in this administration? We may appear hard when we say the president should resign. It's simply because when you put all these things together, the evidence simply says to you, they don't have ideas. Somewhere, nobody is held to account. There must be somebody who should be accountable. So if we won't hold the chief of army staff responsible, we won't hold Amechi responsible because he's the minister of transportation, because he's an appointee of the president. We won't hold the DG or MD of a railway corporation. We'll hold our president responsible because we know the president. This thing is happening under your watch, sir. What is happening? Where are those children? What is going on? Should they also become another issue that we will just walk past? Because we will never walk past those people.
Absolutely.
Any more than we walk past every single life that we've lost. Look at the way the Catholic bishops, the Catholic clergy spoke yesterday. It's no different from ours. And I'm telling you, believe me honestly, we spoke the mind of 99% of Nigerians. It's okay, we don't mind the fact that it's only the Northern Elders Forum that maybe came out and said, Mr. President, resign. And it is not a hostile thing. It's not disrespectful. I swear to you, and I'm fasting, wallahi, that is the best advice you can give to the president. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
He's a Muslim. When your paper said he's a Northern Elder, what it didn't say is that he's a Muslim. The Muslim remembers that on the day of judgment, God will judge the person who has power, harsher than anybody else. Harsher. Because he gave you responsibility over others. What did you do with that power?
And resources to discharge.
Yes, what did you do with that power? He will ask three people, particularly. He will judge them very, very harshly. People with knowledge, people who are wealthy, and people who have power. President Buhari has all the powers in the world, at least to mitigate some of the damage, to bring some relief, or sometimes just show some empathy. Like meeting the family of the people.
Up to now, some people are saying that even when these families, they are in Ramadan and their loved ones have been in captive, and there's still been no show of by the president to by himself to even.
What is wrong with the president, for instance, saying he has, look, can I meet these people?
Or
can I meet the families of these people who are there? And I will talk to them. I have a duty to talk to them. Look, we appointed him to serve us. People are turning this thing around. When people are so shocked that, hey, you want the man to go? What do? I appointed you, like I don't want to be disrespectful. You appointed a Megad who is not doing the work. 9 o'clock he's sleeping. 11 o'clock he's sleeping. Tell me in the name of God, will you keep that security man? No, seriously, I'm asking you now.
I'm a journalist, I don't have to answer.
No.
So, maybe that takes us to just about a final question on the show today.
Sure.
The future. Your statement, the statement by the NEF actually foresaw this, that the period we have is still long, but long as it is for a country, it will definitely come. So what's going to happen, particularly with all these new presidential candidates that are declaring? We have not heard any one of them saying that, okay, this is their plans, or what are your advice for them on this security challenges? Because you said earlier that, you know, the situation might get worse for whoever comes in into the presidency next.
You've just asked me the most depressing question in the whole interview.
Thank you.
The reason why it's depressing is, I mean, we've been following these campaigns. In the Northern Elders Forum, we identified 4 templates that we will judge any candidate that we would advise fellow Northerners to support. He must be thoroughly knowledgeable and experienced in handling public matters. So he must be a person of unimpeachable integrity, and we can trust him to look after us. He's not looking out for power, he's looking to serve. He must have very good ideas. What to do about security, what to do about the economy, what to do about the drifting apart of the country, all these insults. If you don't give us the presidency, the country will go up in flames if you don't. You must reunite Nigeria. And finally, he must be a Nigerian president. Everybody who looks up should see evidence that this man really is his. You must unite this country. You must represent our hopes, our aspirations, and our fears. That's what we're looking for. So you asked me about the future. I would say, if I can, I would ask the political parties, please, the candidates that are all coming with billions and billions of money, most of it quite possibly just stolen, billions and billions and billions of naira to give to delegates to get tickets. Please, in the name of God, don't just give them the tickets for them to contest elections, because they could be the worst possible people who should take over from a president who has failed. They will just dig us more into the ditch. If they do, we will tell Nigerians, don't trust these people. If these 2 big parties, for instance, pick up the man with the most money and they make him president without showing us what he would do about a lot of these things, we will campaign against him. Whether he's a Northerner or a Southerner, we will campaign against him. We will say no. Don't vote for him.
So from all those people in the field now, you know, as a final question, is there one person in the field that you can name?
All I can tell you is that we're looking. All I can tell you is that we're looking very closely. We're narrowing our numbers. We're narrowing our figures, but we are very vigilant. Because, Suleiman, 2023 is not an election. What will happen in February or March 2020 is not an election. It's going to be a major test of whether Nigeria can turn around or sink deeper. And I'm very serious. We, as in the Northern Elders Forum, we say to all the people that you see us on the pages of Newspaper Quarterly, or Haneze, Afeni Ferry, we want to talk with you. We have a responsibility as elders to talk. Maybe there's something we can do. And seriously, we want to talk with them. Not these insults and abuses and insulting somebody's father. It's beneath us. We are not. That's not the job of elders. That's the contribution we make. If we can agree on some kind of a benchmark, where we can collectively advise Nigerians, don't pick an ethnic president, because he will behave like an ethnic president. He will favor his people over everybody else, and that is not the president we want. Don't pick somebody who has money, because he will take more of your money. He will impoverish this country even more. Don't pick somebody who just wants to be president, because he has always been wanted to be president. Because he will be like President Buhari, who will be content that, alhamdulillah, I contested 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, God gave me the power. I've got my own. Nigerians find their own. So
Thank you.
we would do these things, and we'll continue to do these things. Finally, we will continue to speak up.
Okay.
People who are surprised, we don't mean disrespect to the president. The office of the president is very important to this country. We respect the president. We respect President Buhari as our president. We will not insult him. We will not abuse him. But when he falls short of what he needs to do, we will tell him what we think.
Thank you. Dr. Baba Ahmed, Director of Publicity and Advocacy, Northern Elders Forum, thank you for being here today. That marks, this is where we draw the curtain for today's show, and we hope that you'll join us tomorrow again when we bring you another edition of Daily Politics. It is always because you are here every evening to watch us and to support us that we drive the courage and the courage again to also do the best that we can to come out for you. And I assure you, as I did yesterday, we'll be making that small progress, taking those small steps to improve our programming so that one day Daily Politics will just be about the best political program out there in the country. My name is Suleiman, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.